So we understand that our supply curve is based on marginal cost. That's what we just said. Yeah, we said that if that's output, yeah, number of units, and that's money. Yeah, we said that our supply curve is basically based around our marginal cost curve. Yeah, in other words, and that can, and we can read that supply curve two ways. We can either say the 20th unit here costs the firm £10. Yeah, so one way of reading it is up. Yeah, so we see costs here. We read up and across. Or we can say, we can find out how much will be supplied. Yeah, if price is £20, the firm will supply all those units where the extra cost of making them is less than the £20 that they're paid, yeah, which is their price. So then we read across and down. Yeah, and we can see that if the price is £20, all of the units up to the 30th, will be produced, so supply will be 30 units. So how can supply increase? Yeah, and this is the same, or decrease, yeah, and this is the same as we did with demand, yeah. So what could happen is, what could cause there to be an increase in supply? There could be an increase in price, or there could be a favourable change in one of the other factors. So an increase in price is quite easy, and we've done that already. Yeah, we said if that supply, which is marginal cost, if the price is £10, the firm will only supply all those units where the price is more than the marginal cost. So the firm would supply 15 units. And whether you want 20 or 30 or 40 as a customer, it doesn't matter. Yeah, I'll only supply a maximum of 15, yeah, because the ones after that point there, their cost is more than the price. So if you were to come and offer me £15, now I'd say, yeah, okay, I'll supply you 20, because these units are now profitable for the firm. And that then causes an extension in supply. So that's a movement along. Movements along are caused by a change in price. And in this case, we have an extension in supply. An increase was triggered by price. But there might be something that isn't to do with price, a favourable change, other than price. So let's suppose that you discover a new way of making things. So that was your supply curve, which was marginal cost, and when price was £10, you used to be willing to supply 15 units. But now what we're saying is that, suppose you discover a new way of making things much more cheaply. Your marginal cost is much lower than it used to be. So now, when price is £10, you're now far more willing to supply. Your costs, each unit, is costing you less. So your supply curve shifts to S2. And what that's showing you is that at price of £10, you'd now be willing to supply 20 units because the cost of making them is lower. Or, had price originally been £5, when price was £5 originally, you would only have been willing to supply 10 units. Now, you're willing to supply 15. Or if the price had originally been £15, originally you would have supplied 18 units, and now you're willing to supply 23 or something. So supply has increased. Yeah, and an increase in supply is a rightward shift. Yeah, so what we can say is that this is a shift in supply. It's caused by factors other than price. So generally something that affects the firm's cost of production or the ease of production. So basically, there are therefore four ways in which supply can change. There could be an increase in price. That means that given a marginal cost curve, there will be a movement along. So if I offer you a higher price, you're more willing to supply. Alternatively, there could be a decrease in price. The conditions in the market turn against you. So instead of being offered a price of P1, £10, now, say in our example, the price of coffee falls. Well, now you won't be able to hire as many workers. It's not worth it's not worth growing that amount of coffee on marginal land or whatever. A decrease in price causes a contraction in supply. So here we have an extension, which is a movement along. Yeah, these are both movements along. Here we have an extension, which is a favourable movement along. Here we have a contraction, which is an unfavourable movement along. Or alternatively, what could have happened is there could be some sort of change other than price. Yeah, one of the things that we've assumed constant, yeah, one of these, they're sometimes called ceteris paribus factors. Yeah, so there could be, an example might be new technology. So an increase in supply, remember supply is measured here, so an increase in supply, so that's quantity supplied. An increase in supply means that the supply curve is moving that way. Yeah, so people sometimes get confused with a kind of uppy down thing. When we're talking about an increase in supply, there's S1. If I draw you a new supply curve, S2, people sometimes go, oh, that's gone down. No, what we're saying is that at that price, supply has risen from there to there. At that price, that's a bad example. At that price, supply has risen from there to there. And at that price, originally nothing was supplied, and now supply is greater. So that's a favourable movement because the marginal cost has been reduced. So here we've got a decrease in marginal cost, which means that there is an increase in supply. Supply shifts to the right. And finally, we could get an unfavourable shift in supply. Yeah, so obviously, I don't know, a classic example would be bad weather. Yeah, supply shifts from S1 to S2. Whatever the price is, you can supply less than you used to be able to. And that's the difference between shifts in supply, which are caused by non-price factors, and movements along, which are caused by changes in the prices themselves.